Robbie. Bill Mark Robbie. Summer, I think we met a couple of times before. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I don't feel like I need a microphone. All right, well, everybody here in this room, you're going to learn some amazing secrets, and you're going to go home and just beat Amazon into the ground, right? I was going to do my little spiel. A lot of you guys are very familiar, obviously, with LIBA, but Louisville Independent Business Alliance, our mission is to educate people about why buying local is important, keeps Louisville weird, the unique businesses in town, and also keeps more money circulating. We have over 900 members, both retail and B2B. Obviously, the folks in that room are focusing on the B2B, but we wanted to bring our retailers together to talk a little bit about competing with the mega online retailers. It's ironic that our movement kind of started when a big box store moved in next to a local independent record store and bookstore in Austin, Texas. And they did a study about the tax incentives that were being given to this store. It was actually Borders, who ironically is gone now. But that really, we kind of count that as kind of a big moment in the buy local movement. It's when people kind of started to realize that bigger wasn't always necessarily better, and that if we weren't paying attention, we were going to lose a lot of things that we felt like were very important to our communities. Now, the game changer is Amazon and online shopping. Obviously, there are a lot of advantages to it. I'm not saying we're never going to online shop, but we want to talk about kind of the aspects, some different aspects about it that really affect independent businesses. We want to talk about how to keep the playing field level, I suppose. That's what I'm looking for here. Our friends at the Advocates for Independent Business, it's a coalition of a lot of different groups that have independent businesses at their heart, like the American Independent Business Alliance, the independent toy retailers, bicycles, there's a lot of different groups, the natural food markets, et cetera, did a survey. And while the survey did say that most independent retailers said that Amazon is negatively affecting their business, a large share also report that they are better positioned than a lot of national chains to weather the seismic shifts underway in the retail industry. So that's what we're here to explore today with our local retailers who have been surviving and thriving through the era of the big box store and now into the online era. And I'm going to introduce everybody along here. We've got Summer Auerbach with Rainbow Blossom Natural Food Markets. We have Robbie Gibson with Belmar Florist Flower Shop. We have Ben Jones of Better Day Records, as well as Movies and More. And we also have Sarah Rowlett joining us today. She's with the Kentucky Retail Federation, so they have obviously a lot of retail members. So what we're going to do is kind of go around. We have 3 questions today that each panelist is going to address in turn. And then we'll ask the audience for questions that they would like to hear from the panelists about. And then we're going to head over to happy hour. All right, so I'm going to have a little alarm here so that everybody can spend 2 to 3 minutes on each question. And I'll we'll just start here with Summer, and then for the next question we'll start with Robbie. For the next question we'll start with Ben, and we'll just kind of go round robin so everybody gets a chance to talk. And then we'll kind of wrap up and see if anybody has questions. So, anything I missed? All right, you guys can introduce your business. So, here's our first question. Does your business experience showrooming, and how do you reduce that? And for those of you who are not familiar with the term, showrooming is the practice of visiting a brick and mortar store to physically handle the merchandise, to talk to the store clerks and attendants about what it is, make their decision, and then go online and find it at the cheapest price. So I'll start that off with Summer. And you can use this microphone actually there.
Okay. Do I need to fix it?
I'll pull it to you.
Okay. So I think probably all retail businesses experience some form of showrooming, and certainly we're not unique in that. I think that being in the grocery kind of side of the business, we are at an advantage where people want to kind of look, feel, smell, and kind of see the more perishable items. So even if people are doing that with some of the more dry good items, I think that does give us a little bit of an advantage. Certainly where we see it the most is in the wellness side of our business, so with supplements particularly. But we try to set ourselves apart by making sure that we have really knowledgeable, kind of qualified people on staff, and actually having that product right there where people can take it home. So even though we certainly do see people who are kind of shopping on their phone, we find that just providing a lot of knowledge and great customer service is one way that we can get people to leave right there with product instead of, deciding that they're going to order it online. We've also found that like health and beauty products, particularly, people want to be able to like smell those and, use testers, and that seems to be a little bit more kind of insulated from kind of online shopping. And I think also when you're able to talk to people kind of about quality and you don't know where a product has been that you're buying on Amazon. And so if you're buying a pair of socks, it may not matter. But if you're buying something like a fish oil or a supplement, you don't know if that's been stored in a good condition. So it could have been, sitting in a really hot warehouse, or the product may not be old. It could have ridden around in somebody's car for a few months. So I think that when people really start to think about the quality and the reasons why they're taking these health-based products, that the more likely they are to want to buy those from a trusted source that are kind of closer to the manufacturer. The last thing that I would say is that we have really tried hard to differentiate our product, and we really try to work with small vendors that are unique to us. And so a lot of things can be found online, but we also work with so many small kind of unique vendors that not all of those things can be found exactly there. And so in a customer survey that we did, we found that 83% of our customers shop with us because of a unique product selection that they can't find anywhere else. And so part of that appeal is just making sure that our product selection is unique, keeps people coming in, and also kind of protects us a little bit from that exact price to price comparison, on online retailers.
Thank you. Robbie.
Same question. All right, same question.
Might be different in the flower.
Okay. It's a lot of similarities, truthfully. It may not come down to things that people are going to ingest for their wellness and nutrition and things like that. But again, just one of the things that you mentioned last, where people are trying to figure out where things came from. We can almost get it down to the farm, where they come from, whether it be in the United States or South America, or where their product comes from. So that's important for some people, as well as what we call the chain of life. We're not having flowers, in our case, that are spending time on loading docks or out on the tarmac, in the back of pickup trucks and things like that. We know the chain of life from where our flowers are picked on the farm. They're pre-cooled, processed and shipped up through Miami in some cases, and then trucked up to us. We can track those processes and know what's going on with them. But showrooming, again, for us has always been going on, whether it's showrooming, browsing, shopping, that just happens in a retail business. So we're a little bit different, that we have a little bit of texture and smell, that people can see, whereas in Ben's case, records and CDs pretty much sound the same, but it's going to be the experience that you get into that store. So just as Summer says, you surround yourself with knowledgeable people in your business that can answer the questions, know what the answers should be. If not, they can go find out and, explain that to the customer. And it comes down to an educational process a lot of times. Sure, you can buy online and get things here, but, what happens to it, and how do you take care of it once you get it in your possession? So that's one of the things that we try to discuss. And, a lot of it in our process comes down to time management for the person as well. A lot of things, get shipped in a box and then they have to cut them, hydrate them, try to keep them alive until they're needed, or just, plain enjoy them. But a lot of it's just a time management for us. Sure, call us up, we can do it, have it there in an hour or two, and, there you are enjoying your flowers. So whether it's something small like that or trying to do a wedding or something more elaborate, that's one thing that we can come through and kind of bring into the person and help them take care of what they need. Yeah.
Thank you, Robbie. Just real quick for anybody who just came in, we're talking about showrooming, the practice of kind of visiting retail stores, handling the product, gaining from their expertise, and then hopping online and trying to find the cheapest price. So, on to you, Ben.
On to me? Well, of course, if we use the word showrooming, that's a very, very, very important and definitely a strategy that we'll use showrooming, but actually it is the way of the small business. And the one thing that the panel, and we will try to help people, the comparison and how do you stay in the brick and mortar business. And one thing that I learned a long time ago, and I've been in it 40 years, my showrooming is my living. The living meaning showrooming doesn't mean my space has to be committed to one space, one spot only. And it means that it's liquid. It's very, very liquid and organized. It's actually very much organized chaos. And in my business, it's definitely taste and creating something. So my employees, day one, know, like, hey, if you see something on the wall, if you see something in a certain spot, as long as it's organized, that doesn't mean the Beatles, Zeppelins, and Stones. Yeah, we don't misorganize it, but that doesn't mean the one on Monday, the greatest hits, is in front. On Tuesday, it might be Abbey Road in front. So it means that if those who like to understand their brick and mortar store, don't let it stay still. Let it move at all times, and don't be afraid to move it. And also don't be afraid of thinking that we are not in competition. To me, Amazon is just another business. So when Amazon does what it does, I don't encourage an Amazon anything, because what it does is, if you accept the fact that another business is doing the very same thing or just as much as you're doing, don't encourage the next fellow that's not in your system of that business to say, hey, try Amazon. No, try the next local person, or try myself over and over. Don't let that be, or don't turn that entity of the business into it is the do all, can all, will expect all. Because back again, in my business where visuals is very, very important, see, we've created a false of reality, which we'll get into that in one of the other questions, is, see, because they see that visual, they think they have it, they think it's in the best shape, they think that is a good product, they think all of the above, but then in reality, they do need my liquidization of moving it, telling them about it, playing it for them, creating an environment. So I don't encourage, like, that's the worst way to shop. Didn't say it was the only way to shop, but don't choose. If you want to be a quality control, or if you want to use the showcasing experience, you must come and see, you must come and touch, you must come and experience to get the best quality that you need and want in that style of what we're going to call brick and mortar versus the Amazon or the online. We're not telling anyone to go one way or the other, but if you want to be, to me, successful in your showcasing and your experience of your store, make it liquid, make it available, and we're just another business as they are. Don't act like they're not the same as we are.
Thank you, Ben. Sarah.
So where I don't actually own a retail business, but come in contact with retailers on a daily basis, it's something I hear about just about every day, is how showrooming's affecting retailers across the state. And so I've heard several examples. I might share a few with you today. We have a member in Elizabethtown, her office group, so they do everything from provide office supplies to office furniture. They'll come in and design a custom, suit for your office space. They do all of that. And our board member told us of a specific event when a customer came in, spent probably an hour or more with one of their associates, asking all sorts of questions about an office chair, and then said, I'm going to think it over and I'll be back. And so she did come back, but it was a couple weeks later after she'd bought that chair online, and I'm sure you all have all heard this story over and over again, but and she couldn't put it together, and so she wanted their help. And they did help her, and they just kind of took that as an opportunity to, like, gently, like, you should have come to us. But and so they helped her put the chair together, and we're very kind in that, and gained her business later on because she kind of figured out that they, in that field, were the expert in her neighborhood, and that they could that she could go to them. But you hear those things, and Ed from Career Office Groups told us over and over again that it's just part of doing business, and so it's the new way of doing business. And so we've heard that from him. We've heard from the Woolery, who actually has kind of embraced almost showrooming in the extent that they're a very omni-channel retailer, and they're small, but they ship products, fiber, arts products, all over the world. And so they do a lot of business online, and in that case, their store, they have a lot of people that come in from all over to visit their store in Little Frankfort, Kentucky, but they also realize that a lot of their business might be from people coming in and just trying out a loom or a spinning wheel and then going online and buying it. It might be from them, it might not, but they try their best once they have them in there to get them to shop with them. And a lot of times they might not buy it that day, but they do shop with them online. So it's interesting to hear that side of things when it comes to showrooming, but he likes to phrase it as more showcasing, and I don't know if it's any different, but just to really make their store vibrant as far as color and experience, and everything that can kind of pull you in visually or emotionally. And so, I think it's playing up to your advantages, and I think I've heard from everyone about your expertise in having people employed in your shop that can be an expert on the topic, or the products that you sell, who have a passion about what you're trying to sell. I think that's a big key, and it's something that, people like people, so they want to come in and they want to talk to you, they want to get to know you, and once they have a relationship with you, they're very likely to come back. I'm done.
Almost
Okay.
done. Go ahead, finish up.
That's about it. So I'm good.
Oh, you're done? Yep. Sorry, I was just standing up.
That's all good. It's all right.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. The next question had two different angles. What are you doing differently to get customers to buy from your store? Or what are some of the characteristics that your business has that helps you compete with the continued rise of online shopping? And you can look at this either as things you're currently doing or things that you plan on doing, but we just want to kind of hear your perspective of what you're doing within your own business. So we'll start with Robbie for this one.
All right, thank you.
Unless you don't want to.
No.
No pressure.
Nope, not at all. Well, we're always trying to be liquid, to change things up. It's no fun to come into the store to see things, same flowers, same vases, things like that. So we always try to make it interesting for the customer to come in. We'd like to, even if they didn't buy anything or something, especially the kids, leave with something. So, we'll give them a carnation or a daisy, something like that as well. So that's one thing where you're getting that personal interaction with the customer, to try to make that a little bit different, a little more personal when you come in. We've played with some ideas and are thinking about some different things. Some of it will work with individuals better than businesses. Some of it's geared a little bit more towards businesses, where we'll do business-to-business pricing, do simple things. where we have their account set up and can just, email us instead of going through the hassle and picking something out and ordering that, going through the whole online ordering process. Just call us or email us so we can do that. And again, you're dealing with real people, so if something doesn't go right or something, come up and give us a call, and we're there to answer. It's a small business, so you're going to talk to somebody local. But things like delivery for a year, we thought about paying a flat fee, although for businesses a lot of times we just waive that, and we just are. That's not truly a discount, but that's just one of the perks, of setting up the business account and letting us do things that way. So that's what we try to do when we work to keep things a little bit different. Yeah.
Again, in my business, I don't try to be to find a way to be different. I just still try to find a way to be a part of the industry. And again, we try to talk about my industry. Again, it's a reaction to listening to something. So therefore, I have to use just basic understanding of why they shop with me or why they even have an interest in coming in my store. So I don't try to be different. I try to be what they want for my community, and that means try to deliver or try to offer things that doesn't necessarily have to be the popular. And that's what small businesses, if we would all understand, it has a lot to do with how you create the atmosphere and how you create the experience for any customer or any person. My stores or myself, I can always enhance your ability to understand the reason why you even listen to music and why you even would want to even have music to be a part of your life. I always like to even say to a lot of people, one of the things I like to develop is to help you even create a soundtrack of your life. So therefore, we can listen to the radio. There's always free music. There's always free listening. There's always some type of art noise or something. That's just the nature of the beast of music. It's there. So I just have to capture a place where someone wants to understand why they're listening to something, why they even want to enjoy music, or how do you experience the actual fact of building a library around making a soundtrack for your life. So again, I'm not trying to be different. I'm just trying to be the one who can help or who can provide what they're looking for. I've always told my staff and my people, I've always had a music store for music lovers, not just for music listeners, those who need it for a daily walk in life, and that means from probably a 5-year-old up to an 80-year-old. And so in the 40 years in being in business, that's the only thing I can tell people most of the time is like, well, we develop a relationship in the love of the art of music. And if I can be a part of helping you with that through all your ups, downs, ins, outs, and whatever part of life that you need music for, then that's my that's my calling for you. So I've gone through a lot of the ups and downs, just understand the psychology of music and what part and why do you even need it in your life. So therefore, it means, you do need, and then this will go back to an experience of being different. Well, you can't get that experience from, again, we say, go to Amazon and get. Well, why would you even encourage that? You can't get that experience of me helping you build, if you're a music lover, a part of a soundtrack that's going to make your life, meaning 5, 10, 15 years from now, you remember where you heard a song, why you heard it, who was with you, and if it was a wonderful experience, you want to keep that with you, and you want to make music a huge and always a part in your life.
I totally agree that it's very much about creating an experience, and I think that the retailers who are going to be around, for a while, are the ones that you do see providing those experiences. And I think about that could be getting involved in your community. There's John's Run Walk Shop in Lexington, and they're a huge sponsor of local events, 5Ks or track and field in schools in that area, but they also have a club. They invite anyone who wants to participate, and once a week they run. It's a running club. They don't care how experienced you are, if you do it every once in a while or every week, but they invite you to come out and run with them. And so it's not just about selling shoes for running, it's about creating that community and the experience that you have in mind when you think of that retailer. I think the other thing to help with creating an experience or bringing people into your store to then create the experience, you hear content is king, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, but you're now supposed to create content, whether that's have a blog or videos or whatever. And so a great retailer doing that's a little boutique called Cotton Patch, and the owner will make little clips, and you think, well, things that I might think are little tips here or there that nobody would really care. You're an expert about something, and so sharing that, she shares, a 30-second clip about how she organizes her closet, or how to weed out clothes that you didn't wear at the end of the year, and not do it something at the end of the season, but you switch your hangers a different way. She made a little clip about that. People shared it like crazy. It only took 30 seconds, or so over time, and it was a short little clip, and you think, well, why bother? But that little clip got tons of shares because it was short. It was a great, useful tip, and then people, I had talked to a friend of hers who said that got people in the door, and so whether you're, sharing advice or just sharing about your life, I said earlier, it's people like people. They want to get to know you. They want to have a relationship with the owner. They want to know where the products come from. And you're just seeing a lot more of that. And it's a lot easier if you can get them in the door to realize that they can ask you those things instead of Googling it every time they turn around. They could just call you up, that they will start to do that. And so I think, getting involved, it's in the community. It's not necessarily a big box store that you see on the back of a Little League jersey. It's the small mom and pop shops that are supporting those kids. And I think those are still great opportunities and ways to get your name out there, and kind of connect with families and shoppers of all sorts.
So I would say that for us, our product selection is certainly something that keeps people coming back in. Particularly, there is no other place in town that can touch the amount of local produce that we're able to sell in our store, and working with local farmers and producers. And so those are things that people just simply cannot get online. And I think that our size makes us kind of nimble and flexible enough that we can buy a volume that is meaningful to us and it's meaningful to our customers, whereas even other local, not locally owned, but other national chains that are in our local community, even if they say that they're buying local, they just can't support the small volume that true local farmers are able to produce. So that really helps us kind of stand out from our competition and have that unique product selection that people are looking for. We actually found that we had a spike in sales after Amazon announced that it was buying Whole Foods, and so naturally we're in a time of uncertainty within the natural products, world and within my industry, because the future of grocery just feels very unclear, because I think there's been this big push for convenience, and we're exploring some of those opportunities of how we can offer delivery and things that people want. But at the same time, we saw a spike in sales because I think people in their mind was, felt like, oh, well, Whole Foods is, one thing and I'm okay to support that. But then once it was announced that it was being owned by Amazon, it just kind of, for a lot of our core customers, it just felt like that was too much, and that it was, really taking, maybe the, taking the pretty story kind of away from who this was. And, you know, you now when you're shopping in a Whole Foods, I mean, they sell, you know, Alexas and, you know, Fire Sticks, and, you know, it's becoming a lot more like that, that true Amazon experience. So I think that for us, we're really able to differentiate ourselves from the customer experience, and I think that people are becoming increasingly just hungry for kind of good human interaction. And I think that as things become more, you know, just computerized and kind of mechanical and just like impersonal, that one of the things that we will continue to be able to offer is those real human experiences. And so we do a lot of events and programming within our stores. We have our wellness centers where we're able to offer different services and different modalities, as well as cooking classes, yoga classes in our community room. So it's a lot of those things. I mean, I think that we try to be more than just a grocery store, but like a real place where the community is able to come together and where people can really work on their personal health and feel like they're not doing that alone.
Thank you. Sorry, that was loud. Well, we have one final question, and then we'll open it up to audience questions as well. It's interesting. Most of the national coverage focuses, you know, as far as the rise of online shopping, on how it is affecting the big box stores. And we have certainly noticed that as well. It's interesting, like I said earlier, that, you know, when we started, it was kind of as a reaction to the growth of the big box store. And now they seem to be very threatened by the growth of online shopping. But it's interesting that independent businesses have this unique niche. So do you feel, this question is for the panel, do you feel that independent businesses have an advantage or a disadvantage against big box retailers when it comes to online shopping? Or I'm sure both. What advantages and what disadvantages do independent retailers have as opposed to big box stores when it comes to competition with online shopping? We'll let you go first, Ben.
Me go? Yes. Well, actually, the advantage is, again, recognize and know that we are a business. We're in this to make a living. We're in this to support our families, to be a part of our community, to decide whether we want to be, what part of the food chain we want to be. So first, recognize that we are a business. And in business, and to be the better or probably the best business person is to learn to control and understand all parts of that game. Meaning, one, you can't spend more than you make. Two, don't believe the hype. Understand that you have all the control. And this again is one of the secrets to my business is I love the larger, because I know in life, the larger you are, this is an old saying, the bigger the headache, the bigger the pill. It depends on what part of this headache you want to deal with. If you can't control all of it, and if you can't control a lot of it, then don't put yourself as a small business owner in that position. I enjoy, because I can do my banking every single day. I enjoy that I can talk to my landlord every single day. When business is good, he knows it, she knows it. When business is bad, they know it. I learn to still can communicate, and when it's slow, they understand, hey, you'll get yours, and I can't get it all today or tomorrow, but there's still a communication of control. Again, this whole thing this is a business. But it's a business filled with passion for me, and that's why, for me, first I had to understand it's a business that I want to provide for me, my family, and my community. And once I recognize then my passion and my understanding of what I loved about the music industry, that's number two. And then just the fact that how do I stay in the race with the competition, then to me it's still real simple. I know that I can control everything that goes on in my buildings. And to me, I mean, it's just real simple. It's understand it's a business, understand you can't spend more than you make.
that independent businesses definitely have an advantage to some degree. I think that I would look more at the disadvantages as maybe opportunities for growth. That there's such a push for convenience and 2-day delivery or whatever the case may be. But how can you streamline things when you have someone in a store? How can you provide look for what's something that someone asking for references on, something related to what your business offers constantly. Is that something that you could expand into? Could you provide more, just based on what you're hearing the needs are from your customers? Those are things that you see big box stores kind of getting a good handle on, and it's not maybe as complicated as it might seem once you just start to listen to some of the areas where your customers are looking for another product or service. But I think the big advantage that independent businesses have is the service that they provide, both through experience, knowledge of the product, et cetera. But if you're in the pet store business, and you could bring in a groomer or something like that brings in that extra level of service, I think those are some areas that might already be an advantage but could be expanded on for an independent retailer.
So I think that while there certainly is kind of the narrative that retail is being hit so hard by Amazon, and that is true, I think that independents, just because they are smaller and more nimble, are at an actual advantage over a lot of the national chains, just in the sense that they can try things out, experiment, kind of differentiate themselves. I also think that a lot of the stores that are so big physically, they have a certain amount of money that they have to be able to make to be able to stay open and to make it work. There's just infrastructure that's already there. So when you're looking at the big department stores, that you have to have just for safety a certain number of people that are working in there, and that may not always be scalable to the amount of sales that they're able to get. And so I think a lot of the smaller kind of footprint stores are able to kind of scale a lot of their expenses to what their actual revenue is. And I know for us, we, this is really a big part of our history because we didn't have any national competition, and when we had chains that moved in, we lost about 50% of our sales, and so we had to kind of be able to find like our new normal and figure out like how do we scale back our expenses. And so luckily we had a space in a store where we were able to do that, because you have to pay your LG&E bill, but you just have to figure out like, well, what size staff can we afford to have to match our sales now. And so I do think that independents are at an advantage in the sense that they're really in a better place to kind of carve out their niche and really kind of serve their community. Also, independent businesses tend to be located in more kind of vibrant, walkable kind of areas of town. And so a lot of people are looking for those unique experiences where, maybe they're going to be really, price conscious with certain types of purchases, but but I don't think people will ever stop liking to, kind of go boutiquing or pop into a store to kind of shop. And so I think that, especially when you compare a lot of gift sales and holiday sales and those types of things, that independents are at an advantage because people feel like they can find really unique items that they can give as gifts to feel good about. So the last thing that I would say is that we have found great success being part of our trade association, which is the Independent Natural Food Retailers Association. And there are certainly independent business kind of trade associations and all different kinds of organizations. But that's really helped us kind of find a competitive advantage so that even though we're one store and, we can't always buy things for as inexpensively as, say, Kroger or someone that has, massive buying potential, that we can band together with other independent natural food stores all over the country and actually still get competitive pricing and be able to offer that to our customers. So that's been a real benefit for us.
Total agreement that, I think we all have advantages. Being an independent business, we can understand our customers' needs. We can appreciate what we're trying to educate them with, why they're needing to understand the music, why they're wanting this particular type of flower. Someone comes in with the 1,000 pictures on Pinterest of what they're trying to look for with their wedding. We can understand, we look through that, and we can pick things out fairly easy once we are face-to-face with them, whereas online, you're just so many choices, so many directions, you don't know a lot of times which way that you want to go. So coming to a brick and mortar store, talking to someone, you just can't get that type of independent feeling when you're trying to do that online. And a lot of it comes down to what they're looking for and what they think that they want, and then us kind of giving them the direction and point either, if we can't do it, pointing them in the right direction to make sure they know what they're getting. So I think that, the independents have a lot of advantages. Even for us in particular, a lot of times we can match prices online just as well once we get past educating them on the, handling charge and service charges and things like that. They just don't realize how much that adds up, when they're trying to order a simple $25 bouquet to send their granny on her birthday or what have you. It's just things that we can talk to them about and educate them about. So if we can actually get them into the store or get them to call us, once they talk to us and we develop that rapport with them, it's definitely an advantage and a win for us. It goes back to the showcasing. It's great for them to look online, maybe get some colors and things and, a style that they appreciate. But once they call us, we can generally reel that in and make things happen for them and give them a much better experience. Nope.
I don't think it matters. Oh,
There you go.
now it is. Thank you, guys. Well, we have some time for audience questions. If anybody said something that jogged something in your mind you want to know a little bit more about. Anyone? I do want to point out that in this survey, which if any of you are interested, I'm happy to send it to you, and maybe we can put it up on our website as well. As echoed here in this panel, they found that the four main qualities that independent businesses cited as especially important in competing with online sales is the personalized service, connection with their community, product expertise, and the events and experiences that independents can provide in their store as well. So I think everybody kind of touched on a lot of those points there today. So what do you think? Anybody have a question? Yes?
Summer Steve Hess and Low Creek Farm. We share a secret that y'all don't know. We're under attack from about 4 different directions. Amazon is just one of the players. Things like Blue Apron, Grubhub, all kinds of stuff is happening in food and the restaurant that we're doing. Have any restaurant people here? The other thing is the prepared food. It's just a zoo at this point. That probably speaks poorly of a zoo, but it's just unbelievable right now. I mean, she's talking about delivery and stuff, but I can think, sound sad, sound angry, sound terrified as I am, because I'm a small scale farmer. And I'm not going to have a fleet of drones to deliver stuff to people.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of kind of uncertainty of what the future of this is. I mean, people certainly like a lot of these meal services and prepared foods, and as a consumer, I kind of understand the appeal of it. I mean, some people hate going to the grocery store, and so they think that it's great. to me, I love it, and it's such, it's an experience that I want to do. I mean, I do spend every day in a grocery store, but when I travel, I want to go to grocery stores and shop and experience, and that's something that I really like. And I think that there are enough people out there who want to cook with their own, recipes, that I don't think that grocery stores are going to be obsolete. I just think that there may be less of them, and we may be experiencing them in a different way. And I think that there's not just one company, there's dozens of companies, and so all of these are going to have to, there is going to be some level of, survival of the fittest, and some of the retail, big box stores are now offering their own types of meal kits so that you don't have to, get them delivered. So it's definitely an interesting time, and I don't know what the future holds. And I think that there's enough people out there that really truly care about where their food comes from, that they're looking for, local farms that they can support and local producers, and that they want an eating experience that kind of matches their values. So hopefully we'll be safe for a while.
Every day is different. What I want to add, as far as words of encouragement as well, when TV came out, everybody thought radio would go away, and radio's still around, it's just a different format. When the fax machine came out, everybody thought that the postal service would go away. Now we think that's kind of ridiculous, but I think everything adjusts and finds niches and that sort of thing as well. So, other questions? Everybody just wants to go get their drink, I guess, for happy hour. Well, from our panelists, is there anything else you'd like to add?
The only thing I actually would like to add, because it helps me every day, is if we as people and we as a community and as we as business owner, one good thing is just never be afraid. I keep hearing fear of others. And if you understand your business and if you understand yourself, stop being afraid. Don't believe the hype. You will find a way to get everything you want in your business, and those will come. Just quit being afraid.
Hear, hear. I love that. Absolutely. All right. Well, I think let me give a round of applause to our panelists today. Thank you, guys. So much. We have longtime LEVA members here, and Sarah, who I've just met with the Retail Fund, but we are going to get connected, so we're excited about that. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.